Welcome back to Just the Facts, y'all. My name is Jimmy, and here we are with our next preview and prediction video for these NBA playoffs. We got Nets and Celtics. Let's talk about it, man. So the Celtics got their way into the playoffs. They're facing the Nets because they beat the Wizards in the play-in game. Jayson Tatum dropped 50, and that Jayson Tatum is going to be needed in this series if the Celtics have any type of shot to even win more than 2 games in the series, let alone win. It's safe to say the Celtics have no chance, honestly. Let's just be real. They really don't. As long as Kyrie, Harden, and KD are out there, the Celtics stand no chance. Most teams in the NBA don't stand a chance against these Nets, man. So that's nothing to be ashamed of. But I'm really going to talk about the Nets here for the most part because we know they're going to win. Let's not act like this is going to be a real series, a toss-up, or anything like that. Nets are going to take care of business, but let's still talk about it. So Harden, Kyrie, KD are all back. They only played 8 games together in the regular season. They were like 6-2 in those games or whatever. They looked great, impressive. The defense did not look good in those games that they played together, I will say that. But as a whole, they're unstoppable as expected. We know that this is the greatest assembly of offensive talent that we've ever seen in the NBA. There's no question about that. So Harden running the point with Kyrie off the ball, KD off the ball, Joe Harris, Jeff Green. What do you do with this team? DeAndre Jordan sending these screens, rolling to the rim, lobs. It's impossible. It's impossible. There is no game plan to even slow these guys down, honestly. Unless you just try to outscore them. And the Celtics cannot do that here. So James Harden obviously is the conductor of the offense. He's the point guard and all that. We're gonna see a lot of experimentation, I think, from Steve Nash, and that might cost them a game. I think the Celtics will get a game in this series, but it's gonna be interesting to see how Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, and the Nets experiment kind of with the big three. Well, Marcus Smart might be either on Kyrie or Harden. I guess I would put Marcus Smart on Harden just because he is the floor general of it all. So, I mean, that's your best bet, Marcus Smart. Like, if the Celtics had 3 Marcus Smarts, then maybe they stand a better chance. But Jaylen Brown out there would have actually really helped. Jayson Tatum has improved his defense. He's one of the better defenders in the league now, honestly. Having Jaylen Brown out there defending would have been nice to see as well. Obviously, his scoring jumping up to 24 points per game, I think it was. He's out for the playoffs, so the Celtics are shorthanded, and they weren't looking too good even with Jaylen Brown. You can't double, you can't trap. I guess your best bet is to close out hard on Joe Harris, force him to really put the ball on the floor. DeAndre Jordan, I guess you could trap the pick and roll with Harden, but you would need to scramble back like immediately. It's impossible, man. Like, I shouldn't even be talking about this series, honestly. James Harden, I don't think James Harden is going to look to score as much. I think he's going to look more to facilitate in this series and score when he needs to. He doesn't need to score like that. He's just going to conduct the offense. I think forcing DJ to finish plays is going to be another thing. Forcing Blake Griffin to make plays when he comes into the game. Forcing Bruce Brown to make plays when he comes into the game. And you live with everything else, man. The Celtics don't really have great defenders like that, man. Like I said, Jaylen Brown is out. Evan Fournier, he can't do much. Kemba is going to be exploited by either guy. Who are you going to put Kemba on? Who's Kemba going to guard? Literally. Like he's not, like, bad defensively, but he's not a defensive stalwart either. Like, you can score on him. Who's he going to guard? You're going to put him on Joe Harris? Let Kemba chase Joe Harris around all day? That's going to tire out Kemba. And then on the offensive side, Kemba has to do so much more now with Jaylen Brown being out. It's just not a good matchup for the Celtics. Celtics on the offensive side of the ball, like I said, Jayson Tatum is going to need to average like 35 in this series for the Celtics to be above water. Kemba's going to need to average at least 25 for the Celtics to be above water. Other than that, what do you have? Inconsistency from Fournier. You have Marcus Smart's inconsistency shooting-wise. Peyton Pritchard's a rookie. Jabari Parker, Grant Williams, Semi Ojeleye, Celtics won't be able to keep up with this team either. They can't. Like, your best bet against the Nets is to score at a high rate. Celtics aren't going to be able to do that, honestly. The Nets defense will have to put in much work, honestly. So we're not going to really see too many defensive lapses from the Nets. At least I hope. I don't think so. I think they're going to double Tatum a good amount. I don't even think they have to double Tatum. I think they should just live with whatever Tatum makes and shut everyone else down. Live with what Kemba and Tatum make and shut everyone else down. I think that's all the Nets really have to do. I think Tatum, like I said, will have one game where he just explodes and no one's really on him like that. Like, no one's messing with him. He drops 40 and the Celtics win. Celtics will get a game just off of pure grit, grind, determination, coaching, all those things. Also with the Nets, what I want to talk about with them offensively is, like, how are they going to finish games out? I want to see how they finish games out with those three on the court. I don't want to see them in blowout fashion every single game. I want to see what exactly they're going to do when they're under pressure and all three of those guys are out there. How exactly is the offense going to run? Is it going to be through Harden's hands? Are they just going to give the ball to KD and tell him to go to work? Is Kyrie, he's been willing so far, but is he willing to give up the last shot to KD, or, give the ball to James Harden when the team really needs a bucket, and things like that, little things like that, just to gauge just how much cohesion those guys have. With the Nets offensively, I want to see if the ball is in Kyrie's if the ball is in KD or Kyrie's hands, if Harden's gonna move off the ball a little bit. The same goes for all the other guys. If Harden has the ball, is KD gonna cut? Is Kyrie gonna cut? If KD has the ball in mid post or just along the baseline, is Kyrie gonna cut to the basket? I think they're so smart offensively as players, talent-wise, skill-wise, all those things, that they will do those things. They have a great feel for the game offensively, and I know we saw Harden whenever he wasn't. We saw a good example of that last year with Harden and Russell Westbrook. Whenever Russ would have the ball, Harden would stand 30 feet from the basket and watch Russ do his thing. And there are moments where Harden, I've watched it. There were moments where Harden could have cut to the basket, where the defender wasn't looking. The defender was looking Russ's way, getting ready to load up and help on him and leave James Harden. Meanwhile, Harden could have cut to the basket and get an easy layup. Or sometimes Harden would fake the cut and then come back out. No, he should have cut. Those opportunities are going to be there. Cutting to the basket. Setting off-ball screens when KD has the ball in the post. There's going to be attention to KD when he has the ball in the post. It's a mismatch with almost anyone ever that you put on KD. So Kyrie setting screens for Harden, or Harden setting pin downs for Kyrie, and vice versa. And you got DeAndre Jordan out there setting off-ball screens. Blake Griffin, when he comes into the game, setting off-ball screens. Jeff Green setting off-ball screens and then popping out to the three-point line. He's a very good shooter. Landry Shamet, those guys are going to do the same thing for him when he comes into the game. Really good shooter. Bruce Brown is going to set hella screens. He's kind of like a guard and a center. He's a center in a guard's body. He's going to set a lot of screens. He's a big body. He can finish inside, really defend. He's going to be on Tatum, I think, and or Kemba. We'll see about that. So it's going to be interesting to see the off-ball action that the Nets have. I just want to see Steve Kerr really get into his bag of coaching, because honestly, he hasn't really had to do much. Let's just be honest. I'm not trying to discredit Steve Nash at all, but you know what I mean. Like, he doesn't really have to do much. He can keep it as simple as possible, and KD, Harden, and Kyrie can get the job done because they're just that damn good. But come playoff time, they're going to need to at least, add some things, add some variety in there, change some things up a little bit, add some wrinkles, and there you go. You're going to get an unstoppable offense, and no team could ever outscore them or keep up with them. So, yeah, that's what I think will happen, man. Nets in 5. Y'all let me know how how long will it take for the Nets to close this thing out? But with that being said, this is Jimmy from Just the Facts, and I'm signing out. Peace.